Okay. So, as a start, the intent of this lecture is we are um, going through a more formalized process. Now, the instruction is not being sent directly from Eleanor. We're getting the basics of instruction done here instead. Justiciar. Oh,
Sorry, I'll move out of the fireplace.
oh, excellent. Then we will return there. There. Okay. So as I was saying, we're giving instead of receiving instruction directly from Eleanor for our magic, we're building the capability to have training done in house. So we're providing that training at the embassy. The what it looks like from now on is still up in the air. So we're going to be adjusting it as we go to see what works and what does not work. So with that being said, I understand both of you have a little bit of a scholar interest. Is this true?
Yes, quite so.
Yes. Then you're already familiar with the creation of Mundus and the effect that it has on magic.
Yes, the way Lorcan was split in half and Magnus fled through the realm, broke through I forgot what it's called immediately, but yes, he broke through, and that light that bleeds through is from Aetherius, and that gives us our power.
Excellent. Then I'll go over that again, but in less detail, since it sounds like we're already aware of that. But yes, so starting at the beginning, obviously we were all in Aetherius, and a situation happened where Lorcan tricked the Aedra, the ancestors, into powering the creation of Mundus with Magnus at the helm, the architect of the plan. But once he realized what was going on, he fled, and in doing so, he created a tear in Mundus, which we see in the sky, and his followers created smaller tears that we also see in the sky. And these tears of his fleeing after seeing what was caused by the Great Deception was what leaks Aetherius into Mundus. And this is what essentially gives us a touch of the divine of what we used to be among. And the fact that Altmer are the closest to pure as far as our ancestors are concerned puts us closest and the most capable out of the other races to harness this, to be able to work this through our wills. Does this align with your understanding so far?
Yeah. Currently,
Yes, completely.
I forget the exact name of what the what we're descended from.
Ancestor spirits, the Etada.
Etada.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I forgot that for a second. But I recall that all are descended from such Altmer, and when the Lokard deceived all, that we became Altmer, as I recall.
Yes.
Well, we first became Aldmer, if I remember correctly, then we
Correct.
descended from the Aldmer to the Altmer.
Yes, and every not generation, but every lineage that separates from the original line gets a little bit weaker, which is why other Mer that have fallen from the true path, the pure path, they're not as strong in it as we are, due to our our purity with the line.
Yes, it makes perfect sense as well.
Now,
Considering,
yes.
what we uphold and everything.
Now there is some argument about that story, which we will be discussing in solitude in a little bit. Obviously, from our point of view, this was a, trickery, a great deception. But from the point of view of the Nords, they see this as a gift that a warrior king fought the others to give this gift to the Nords to make them a little bit closer to the divine. So, different perspectives on it. Obviously, this is a heretical view of it, but this is essentially what creates the divide between us and man, and everything from that point on was, stems from this, or is, just
Indeed.
yes, fighting back and forth.
I believe, yeah, they view it as a gift of creation of the
Yes.
realms, and we view it as being torn from our actual roots, and which is obviously the right way, of course, but
Yes, this realm is a curse upon us. A fucking curse.
Now, the pantheon in general, the divines, specifically, I'm referring to the imperial version of the divines. What do you know about those? Do you know any history on them? If not, I will go into that.
Yes, Auriel became Akatosh, the dragon, I believe. There's a
Do you know
few
why?
more that are currently. No, I'm actually quite unsure of this. All I know is that it was bastardized. If you
wasn't
could
it
enlighten.
like a crisis, like something that they say happened, like a divide between the realms or something, that was like she had to I forget what it was.
Not really. What it was the Imperials made a political move when the Nordic slaves were rebelling against their island masters. Some of the Skyrim Nords were obviously assisting with that, but some of the islands, they actually rebelled. So not all of the islands were unified under the same banner, and they fought each other. So that goes back to their fall, and not sticking together, not being a unified people. Their slaves rose up with their assistance of some of the rebel islands, and the first empress was a Nordic slave who she essentially needed to find a way that married the pantheons of the Norns who grew up under the islands and the islands themselves, uh, and as well as the Nords of Skyrim, who were all assisting in this. So they had two different pantheons essentially, with a Nord split between the two, and she needed to find a political way to unify everybody. So what they did was essentially just took similar ones from both the Nords and from the Mer and combined them. They removed some. Lorcan didn't make it into the Divines. Shore didn't make it into the Divines. So there were individuals that were left out of the combination. But the Pantheon
Yes, like
isn't a
Xerxes
heritage.
or
Yes. Well, at this time, Trinimec had already been fallen. But
Oh, I meant to say Ifre. Apologies. Go on. Yeah.
yes, and so essentially the Imperial Pantheon, the Divines, when we say that there are only 8 Divines, to be honest, that is the Imperial Pantheon. We don't care. What we do care about is that they don't add a 9th. We don't want them, the idea of individuals saying that Talos is has through apotheosis taken the spot of Shore or of Lorcan, and have, taken over Sovngarde and filled that spot. That is not what happened. That is what the Nords want
It's
you
an
to believe what's
impossibility.
happened, but that is That is not what happened. Yes,
It is an impossibility.
Are you
No
joining the
mortal could
lecture?
brag to it.
Yes. First emissary.
Justiciar, go ahead and come forward. I was correcting you. I'm not first emissary. I'm Justiciar.
My apologies.
But go ahead and come forward and join. You've missed much of the religious history portion of it already. We're reaching the point where, in explaining the nature of the divines and them being a bastardized political tool rather than a the Imperials actually having their own pantheon. They're the empire was created from a number of people, and so their divines were a political tool designed to unify people under one men and mer under one pantheon. And it is not the right pantheon. It's not the true pantheon. Those some of the individuals in it were moved forward without change. For the most part, it is just bastardization that we should not pay attention to. To us, it's the obvious important thing, though, is that no one claims that Talos is actually the mantled version of Lorcan or Shore. But the reason I bring up this, and it is a with our mission, the Imperial Divines are important to the treaty, and it's important to the Imperials now. But for the most part, our focus is on the true ancestors. So we're going to be focusing on Ariel and the purity that comes from that. To an extent, Xerxes and Magnus, obviously. They are related to the study of magic, being the scribe, and obviously Magnus being the source of the terror. Now, we will be likely, due to the thing that's happening in 40 minutes, I think we're gonna forego solitude, and instead we're gonna go to Darkfall. And the importance, though, is that when you're next in solitude, take a look at their pantheon. Do the best you can to marry that up against what you understand to be true, and take it as a lesson of some people don't care about the purity of the situation or the trueness of the path. Some people use the ancestors as a political tool, and because of that, they don't know the truth of where any of this magicka comes from or how it's properly used. They just are, taking what they can observe, and they're trying to use it any way they can without the truth of what's there. And because of that, they will never be able to do it as we can.
Well said, Justice.
Before we move out to Darkfall, since I do want to get to the shrine and back before Marth's needs to call the Mer together, do you have any questions about that specific teaching?
No, I think you've explained it rather excellently, rather succinctly as well. You've done well, Justiciar. Thank you.
Now, of course, being open to fault in the pursuit of perfection, is there anything that you believe that I am not interpreting correctly?
No.
Excellent. Then,
I was saying, because did you see my report in the books I turned in with it today? It was the perspective of a Nord and his journey throughout the Mages Guild and the Priestly Order.
I have not seen that. I would like to see that. You said that as a
It
report?
is in my report. Yes, the books are with the report.
Interesting. I would like to see that. When I return, I'll take a look. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Yes, Inquisitor.
Justiciar.
Yeah, Justiciar. My apologies.
Of course. Let's go to the gate, get anyone who wants to be an escort, and let's prepare to move to Darkfall Cave, where we will actually do our first off veneration of Ariel, and then we will see the practical demonstrations of magic.
Very well, just this here.
Should we change?
No, we're going like this. See what we think, or just
they won't do it right now.
that's fine. Let's go. Who is the senior martial person here?
Were you willing to minutes?
We're going to Darkfall Cave to have a second portion of the lecture.
Yes, yes, do.
And social them, Maroon, Are you familiar with the way? Is anyone familiar with the way?
No, but-
Yes, we're going to raise bridges across the bridge.
Yes, before the very end.
Let's do something call. And then, we're going to go to the bridge and then move there. Make sure you know where people are like 9.
Yes.
I did want to buy the other lecture, but at the same time, I'm not sure they would get much out of understanding the alternate heritage. Try to look at that way. Behind this, sneak ones. Okay. Let's go here. Well, with us. Excellent. Now give me a moment.
I have a torch, but it usually comes with a curse. I was gonna say.
Oh. I love Mage Light. It's such a good spell.
Yes, it may fade, but if it does, I will replace it. I don't trust the torches because last time I was here, the torches kept giving my companions headaches.
Well, it's the thing where you can take it out, but if you put it away, you're screwed.
Do we know if there's any wildlife in the cave, Justin?
Not that I have seen.
I actually found a tome of Mage Light recently.
I thought you were going to say that you found a tome in this cave.
Oh, no, not that.
That would make the expedition for magical education very fruitful.
I have a Tome of Flames on me if it can be of use to you, Justiciar.
There's a certain point where I will light that again. These spider webs ahead of me, clear these out.
Yes.
Yes, Justiciar.
Don't kill each other.
No, no.
No, I,
They see it clearly, you know.
I
Same
think
for
maybe
me.
individual just.
maybe fire is just more effective in that regard.
It certainly is, honestly.
Inquisitor, you're going to be my light again. Or somebody is.
I was honestly thinking of practical applications for this magic site when we're tracking people that are attempting to flee. I mean, if they change clothes in the city, a light above their head would make it impossible for them to blend in.
True. Very smart, actually. I never thought of that. That's really clever, actually.
Yes,
I
but
mean,
it fades so
even
quickly.
human yeah, that's the problem. But it helps people track, honestly. If it could last a lot longer, it'd be nice.
It'd be good to mark important targets if you can get close to them, yes?
Certainly.
The orbs stay attached if you pass through the doorway.
The orb does eventually go away. I have to
Yeah,
recast
but if
it.
you pass through a doorway, does it stay attached? Is what he's saying.
Oh, that I don't know.
Yes, it might bounce off the awning of the door.
Now this one is tricky. We're not going to go forward like you would expect. Yes, I just keep using you as a torch.
Better than bringing out that torch, the cursed thing. So, you have to take a note every time you bring it out.
If we hadn't seen the left path, this would have been a lot longer and more winding.
Oh, incredible.
Have you been here before?
I have no
I have not.
Very
Once
long
before.
ago. I believe when I first came to these lands, after traveling a bit, this is one of the first places I visited.
This here is the oldest shrine that I know of in Skyrim for Ariel. This and the obviously the building to our side, surrounded by the torches, the light shining from the ceiling onto the building. This is the perfect place to understand light. Now, I'm speaking literally and figuratively here, obviously. Now, if anybody has an idea why, if the magicka comes from a tear that Magnus made, why is it so important that we ensure that we give Ariel veneration as part of this?
Because he was the first of us? The first of Anuiel's souls?
That could be one. I mean, that is definitely there. He is our first ancestor. But as we spoke about the Dwemer before, that's a cautionary tale of what happens when you lose sight of purity and of the path and our history and what is proper, what is true and accurate, and instead we get ahead of ourselves. Have any of you ever heard of what happens when someone tries to get too much power? They try to understand the soul too much.
The, is this to do with enantiomorphs and apotheosis?
Not apotheosis, no. Honestly, it's kind of the opposite. There are records of mages who did try to, instead of go about things through the natural progression of things. Obviously, the Dwemer are a perfect example of someone trying to exceed what was proper and what was the natural progression of stuff. But there are records of other mages who tried to push themselves beyond the bounds of what their soul could support, what others had proven was correct. Inquisitor, you're going to say?
Yeah, I believe one such case is with the Magnus in Winterhold College. Is that not right? Where they actually disappeared when they were trying to control it.
Oh, Inquisitor Arcano?
Yes. They were trying to.
That's one case, and that is what I'm speaking of. I was speaking of a different mage, but that's an example of trying to go beyond what is natural and trying to go beyond what our teaching tells us is, we of course we need to always try to better ourselves. We always need to extend, but we shouldn't extend through unnatural means. We shouldn't lose sight of the light of Ariel, even if the Magicka is a result of the tears that came from Magnus's exit. The walking in the light of Ariel isn't just a saying. Like, we need to actually follow in the teachings of our history. There's a reason that we're the ones that are most suited for this, and it's because of our closeness to our ancestors' lines.
Oh. Valiriel, we have a visitor.
Yes, we do. It's Auxiliary V.
Oh, very well. Hello.
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 Oh, excellent. Yes, I see someone running at us in minor garb, and I just prepare.
As shortcuts, there are no shortcuts in the path of magic, is what they usually say.
Yes. And I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the tale of the Dwemer.
Yes, of course.
Certainly.
What do you think happened to them?
I think they meddled with powers beyond their ken and were smited by the Aedra for their meddling.
I honestly believe they achieved what they were looking for, but it was not exactly what they thought they wanted.
Inquisitor, that's actually closer to what I think as well.
I see.
Now, considering that we're descended from our ancestors and that they were tricked into using their power to fuel this trap that we reside in, I understand the Dwemer's desire to not be part of that trap, and the third emissary did write a book on his understanding of some of the what happened to the Dwemer. Obviously, without a conclusion, we don't have a conclusion. His book was written in the context of the Altmeri restoration. What happens, like, what path do we take to attempt to restore what was taken from us? And I completely understand the Dwemer's want to make that restoration happen. But setting the goal and then forgetting the history and the lineage that brought us there in the first place, just departing from the path of what's proper, led many other mages to overreach. And whether they got what they were looking for, I think that they did possibly get something similar, but was it exactly what they were looking for, or did the shortcuts get them to a point where they couldn't reach perfection, and at that point they were stuck with what they got? Unfortunately, we don't have an answer, but we know that they're not here anymore, and I think that is a cautionary tale.
It is indeed. So what you're preaching, Justiciar Valiriel, is that instead of trying to reshape the box, we instead focus on the purity of the form rather than the idea, yes?
Yes, we need to focus on the path that was set for us by our ancestors. We need to stay within the bounds, not try to exceed them and go into unnatural things such as, the tonal magics of the Dwemer and additional, trying to fill our souls with so much magic that we just wink out of existence.
Indeed.
It is easy to reach too far, especially when we're predisposed to excel. And thinking about our ancestors, thinking about the proper path, thinking about what the Sapiarchs have taught us and teach us is the correct way forward, is the only way to do this in a way that does not make you a danger to those around you. Because
The way I like to see it is it's a proper path, and if you stray from the path, then you, like you said, are a danger to all and any. The path is set for a reason. It's there so that you do not learn knowledge that you don't know how to properly use.
yes,
A good analogy might be a knight and their blade, yes? A blade is still a blade. It is a dangerous weapon for those who would miswield it, but for those who use it righteously, it can do great things, yes?
yes. And if you think along those analogies, the Dwemer being like berserkers, a lot of power behind that blade, but at what cost to those around them, to themselves?
I see, yes, of course. Oh, very clever.
What do you note about this light here?
Relatively nothing, Justiciar, actually.
Only that it is a mage light.
It's called candlelight, as I recall, but practical applications, obviously, that's pretty much what I know.
What are your thoughts about how I brought it into existence?
Did you perhaps lend some of the light blading from Aetherius and bring it here? Or would that be more along the lines of conjuration?
I think that is the correct answer, but it is a difficult way to look at it, because that is the big picture of looking at it. That's like when somebody asks you how you liked a sandwich, instead of just talking about whether you like the contents on the bread. You talk about the flour that goes into the bread, and I think it is
Yes, of course.
it is important in understanding the cooking, for instance, that you know those details. But does understanding flour help you put the meat on the bread?
No, does it help you taste the sandwich? Yes, of course. So, what do you mean to what? How does it?
Well,
How is it?
so knowing that
You know what I'm trying.
knowing that Magicka leaks in from Aetherius, and the way that a mage does have to recover after they spend some, we know that it is a finite resource, but it is one that we regain. And so the idea that's taught to us is that essentially the magicka is infused into our soul, and with that we have a capability of channeling it. Now, channeling it is one of those words that mages like to use to describe something that doesn't necessarily make any sense. But the way I like to describe it as, if you were to breathe out air, similar to that. That is the nature of channeling, but you end up having to reach a substance in you that is part of you, as part of your soul, and then learn how to, similar to muscles, just as I, wave my hand around casting magics, but similar to, moving your hand through the air and you displace the air, or moving your hand through water and you displace the water. You need
Oh,
to.
you could liken it to language then. You must learn the proper suffixes and adjectives to communicate what you want to communicate with the world, yeah?
Similar, but more like the gesture of moving your hand through the water doesn't necessarily get the water flowing. The water is already flowing, but it helps you move it in the right direction or understand it. You have the ability to alter it in a way that becomes second nature by moving your hand through the water.
Oh, I see.
I believe in an apt analogy would be like magical circuits, like in your body, like that you tap through to get to the source to draw out from inside you. Would be.
Yes.
I see. No, that makes sense.
Not only that, Inquisitor, it sounds like you have read ahead a little bit, and while not part of this lecture, but it sounds like you understand the nature of some of the teachings of the Sijic Order.
Very vague, honestly. I've been doing a lot of delving into as much as I can, but it's gaining a little knowledge, but glossing over a lot. I keep on going over them.
Now, the Order itself is not something I'm going to be teaching about. It's a political organization, and it resulted in some missteps, in my opinion. But it is separate from the Thalmor, and it is separate from the way that we're going to be teaching it today. The Sijics led to the founding of mage guilds that led to the populace being able to use magic, and I believe that was a misstep. But one of the things that they did train was that there were channels in the body that were capable of channeling this magic out for certain abilities, and they would actually get tattoos on themselves, which would help them guide through these channels. That's not something that we're going to be going into. As just an introduction, maybe as advanced lessons, that's something that we can get into. But for me, the analogy is going to be, moving water, breathing out. You're manipulating the energy there and altering the direction of its flow. It's, where it ends up. You're not necessarily creating something from thin air. You're using something that's inside of you already, and through muscle memory, you're able to guide it, the direction of it. So, like, for light, I may, be able to just put a lot of it in a small area and create a light with no heat or cold. But then if I do the same, but I condense the energy down to a point that it creates heat in the air around it, it's the same energy. It's just how you learn to move it.
Yes, applied properly.
Yes, the movements that come with it, it's not that the magic requires certain gestures. There are some people that use gestures to help them, through muscle memory, achieve what they want. There's also a belief that, if you were to, for instance, conjure a firebolt without the, any gestures, then there would be no way to steer it to the direction you wanted. So there are some beliefs along those lines, but without the gestures, something still could happen. There would just be less control over it because of, muscle memory. Just the gestures help put you in that right mindset. If you squeeze down on the energy, put it all in a lot of it in a small area, you get fire. if you put it, in essentially you push energy that creates a vacuum that sucks energy from around it, then you get frost. It's the same general idea. You're still pushing the energy, moving the energy around. It's just the density and the direction of the magic that changes to end up with a specific result.
Might I ask, just to see if Valiriel, do you consciously think of the perhaps scientific reasoning behind these properties when you want to manifest them, or is it simply, subconscious?
Do you paint?
I do.
Now, when you learned to paint, what did you focus on?
The theory of colour and how light interplays with what I want to subject and draw.
When you paint, how long have you been painting? Enough where you're comfortable with it?
Yes, I would say I'm quite comfortable.
What's changed?
My precision, my understanding, and yes, I suppose. No, you're right. That's very clever. I don't think about my theory anymore.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. Very good.
At first, it's a very technical thing that you're trying to, manipulate this energy. But as I keep saying, with muscle memory and the gestures that help people just naturally do this, it's not something you end up thinking about eventually, and you start thinking about more complex stuff, or it just becomes second nature at that point. So that's the difference between starting out understanding it and starting to master it or get, use it in your day to day.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Of course. Now, before we leave, are there any questions that you would like to ask about my thoughts on a specific topic? And I phrase it specifically my thoughts because this is, of course, research and scholarly. We can debate, we can disagree. I could be wrong, and you may have information that I need to look back on. But have I presented anything that you want to dispute or clarify?
Do you think
Not-
that the Dwemer hit a certain point and then were excorporated into the greater magisphere of Mundus, or do you think they escaped?
I don't know. I think the texts would say that if you've reached too much, you just wink out of existence. But
Yes.
the religious in me, the veneration of our ancestors and the wish to return to our birthplace per se, makes me want to think that maybe they did achieve it. Maybe they achieved it partially, but maybe they did it wrong. I don't think we have enough information, and to speculate too much, I think would do a disservice.
I believe, though, the telltale sign is conjuration magics is a good way to tell what happened to the Dwemer. The fact that you can conjure just about anything but a Dwemer is a telltale sign that they do not exist.
Indeed, actually, that's a very good point.
Interesting.
That is an interesting
I
thought.
believe they were slain by Auriel for messing with the corpse of his dead brother, you see.
You can, like I said, you could summon anything but a Dwemer.
I think that would be an interesting point of research.
I read of something called the Mantella once. Apparently this human used type of septum. I heard that it had similarities to the Dwemer's outcome. I wonder then if the god that they supposedly produced did not in fact become divine, but instead winked himself out of existence too.
I believe since they were messing with the heart of Lorcan, they would seed, and being Lorcan the Deceiver, when they decided to mess with things that they should not have, they became a part of him, in a sense. And, in a sense, also wiped themselves out of existence.
See, he's dead, so if you become part of something that's dead, you cease to be, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, along that line, again, in the Third Emissary's writings, he believes that they were trying to attune themselves to the heart. So that kind of would go along those lines, that maybe they were trying to attune themselves. Maybe they were successful.
But being Lorcan, what they thought they got is not what they actually probably wanted.
No.
Interesting. I've heard the tale of the tribunal using a similar method as the Dwemer. I should spend some more time reading into.
Then if you would like to take some time to pray, to venerate the ancestors before we go, or to meditate on anything you see here, we will give it a few minutes, and then we will begin to move back to the embassy and see if the Justiciar has waited.
I'm currently investigating Nernroot as of now, honestly. It's actually rather fascinating.
What are you investigating about it?
Did you know at one point it did not exist, and then suddenly it came into existence, and some people can perceive it and others can't?
It's interesting.
In fact, it came into existence around the same time in recorded history as the time the Dwemer disappeared.
That I did not know. That is interesting. It's very loud. So,
Certainly. Well, it's, I believe, to be tonal magics, or that's what you hear.
yes, that's interesting.
That is actually quite interesting. I didn't know.
It's actually it goes very, very deep. Well, people know of its existence, but they don't really know what it is, and it suddenly blinked into existence at the time the Dwemer disappeared.
Right. So let's do some reading on this too.
I know that there's a red Nernroot as well, but I don't know where it is.
Oh, the Crimson Nernroot. I've heard tale of it. I thought it was a hoax, honestly.
I've seen a book, like a manual from quite a long while ago of a researcher that had discovered such. Honestly, the rabbit hole of Nernroot is rather fascinating and would probably be more detailed if I were to write it up than the history of the Dwemer. I mean, it is crazy, honestly.
No, I find myself, for some reason, drawn to this tribunal that I heard of. Vivek, Almalexia, and Sophasil. They're meddling with the heart. False gods indeed. But their meddling with the heart of Lorcan saved them blinking out of existence, but the Dwemer disappeared entirely. I want to know what the difference was.
Be careful you don't follow them.
Yes, indeed, no, but I like to understand things. It's probably my fatal flaw.
If you go MIA after this, I'm just going to assume at this point.
Yes!
You're going to need the tools they used to even try to understand what they did, honestly.
Oh yes, Sunder and Wraithguard, I've read of it.
No, they had the tools that were used for the Heart of Lorcan for the Dwemer. The Tony tools, I believe. There were 3 of them, I believe.
Oh, there's a third I'm forgetting. I remember Sunder and Wraithguard, but I can't remember the third.
See, this brings up another important part about our heritage, and that's the scholarship. I'm glad that this is sparking interest that you may continue to study.
Yes, I always seek to improve myself in every craft I try to take up.
Okay. Then let us get prepared to go back to the embassy, see if the Justiciar has left yet.
Indeed.
trying to remember, you can actually approach the shrine, get Oriel's blessing, and implore you to before you do. You have to.
The last time I did that, I had a headache, so I'm
Oh, I see.
nervous about doing so.
I did it successfully, it seemed.
Indeed. We didn't want to lose you just again.
Okay. Then I am still here. Excellent. Let's go ahead and move to the entrance of the cave.
It's good talk, Justiciar. It's been most enlightening.
Thank you. I hope to have more. I still need to speak to the other Inquisitors.
Y'all were saying a lot of words that this one did not understand. This one only understands the bow.
I'd recognise that voice anywhere I could.
Well, you've done well to come and understand it anyway, Auxiliary.
Some more effort than some of the others have made.
This one is just good at fighting in war.
Honestly, I think the auxiliaries, like how our branch has the Justiciar, I think they should have their own organization of assassins of such. For sure.
I would love to have a bunch of Khajiit assassins.
I think it'd be like the Justiciar order, but for them, you know, and it would be focused on techniques of subterfuge and infiltration, assassination.
Well, we did have the Central Branch recently, and a number of us were a member of the Central Branch, but the splitting the Justiciar out from the Central Branch, from the Martial Branch, there was too much of splitting of responsibilities when everybody should be an agent and everybody should be a scholar.
So
That's why.
but I think for them, though, it could be unique.
Well, the Khajiit are going to have their own structure of ranking.
But that's what I mean, like an organization for them to eventually get into.
Okay,
And
where
also today we
is
should have the
my...
robes.
Because honestly,
It's
having
you now.
specialists, like having
I
specialists
see.
into the art of assassination would be very great boon for us.
There it is.
If I may speak freely, because it's just.
Go ahead.
I do find it regrettable that we don't have any administrative or scholarly ranks within the embassy. I think the pursuit of not only knowledge but also relations of the embassy would be noble.
So I regularly discuss that because that's of importance to me as well. But I have a similar answer to that as not having specific covert ranks, in that having the individuals that do the soldier work is important. And okay, one more. Okay. Turn left. So having the soldier work is important, and you can do some scholar work while you're doing that. So you don't always need to be on a wall. You can do scholarly duties as a soldier, and you can do covert duties as a soldier. You know, inquisitors do need scribes, justiciars do need scribes during interrogations. So my hope is that when we identify the individuals who are more scholarly apt, that we could try to start using them as scribes in certain of our activities.
Yes, Mr. Carr, that makes complete sense.
Yes, I seek the honor guard, but I believe scholarly duty is just as important.
the honor guard is important as well.
They would prevent disasters in future from happening, hopefully.
Yes, I've heard tale. I do not wish to ever see it happen again.
Well, honestly,